everybody, it's Karen. I wanted to take a minute and talk about alcoholism in the workplace. It's a serious issue. If you work in a large company, you probably have an HR department that looks after this for you. But if you're a smaller company, you own your own company, this is definitely a serious matter that can cost you a lot of money as an employer, can cost you your clients, other good employees. So it's definitely something that needs to be talked about. I have a good friend who owned a company here in town, and it was a nationwide company. She was really good, a manufacturing company, had a great company. And one day she asked me to have lunch with her, and she said she had a receptionist, a personal assistant receptionist at the front desk who everybody had to get through her to do any business with the company. She was the first person they talked to. And she said she started out really great, but something's wrong. Something's changed. And she asked me if I thought she had a problem. First thing, let me tell you, if you're asking if someone, an employee, has a problem, most likely they have a problem. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be thinking it. It depends what the problem is. You know, there's a lot of ways to treat alcoholism. Some people do it with alcohol. Some do it with prescription drugs. Some do it with street drugs. Some do it with gambling. And it can greatly affect your other employees, your culture of your business, your customers, and the bottom line. And so the first thing I told her was, it's not for me to diagnose, but I referred her to a chapter in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous written to the employers. That's the chapter, to the employers. And it was written in 1939, this book, but it is so relevant today. It's just perfect, dead on. The problems are the same for the employers. How do you handle these situations? Perhaps you have a really great employee and they're having a problem. How do you handle that? And I think it really goes back to, alcoholism. You don't choose to have alcoholism. It's not your fault if you have alcoholism, but it is your fault if you don't choose to treat it. So once a problem is made clear to you, you have to take responsibility and you have to take the action to get better. And I think that's what we want for everybody, is to have the information and take the action, and one day at a time treat their illness. And that's pretty much the standpoint you have to have with an employee. First thing you have to do is you have to let them know that you know there's some kind of problem. You don't even have to get into it, but you need to call them in and say, hey, something's wrong. I can tell. Because as alcoholics and addicts, we think that nobody knows, right? It's a big secret. Nobody knows. Oh, I can't let my work find out, or I might lose my job if my work finds out. Guess what? Your work knows. Your family knows. Everybody knows. So as an employer, first thing you can do is tell them there's a problem. Your work seems to be declining, whatever it is. You're late every day. You come in looking like you just got in. It takes you 4 pots of coffee and until 2 o'clock in the afternoon before you're worth a shit here at work. You're distracted. You're full of drama. All of a sudden, everything is wrong. Your car broke down. Your dog ate your homework. All this kind of shit, you know. You tell them right up, we've got a problem here. And ask them, do you think you have a problem? Do you know what it is? And if they say something about their wife or whatever, say, well, what do you need to take care of that? You know, if they are coming in smelling like booze, call a spade a spade. Say, you come in smelling like booze. Maybe you didn't drink minutes before, but you're coming in with enough booze in you from the night before that you smell like booze. This has got to stop. A real problem now in the workplace is this marijuana, legal marijuana. People don't understand what that means. And it's hard to test, because if you test for marijuana, it stays in someone's system for up to 30 days. So you can't tell if they had just used it or they used it weeks ago. I mean, it starts to decline in the blood, in the drug test, but basically you have to have some kind of rules around that. And you have to lay out the rules in your employee manual when you hire people about your policy with drugs and alcohol. if there's no alcohol at work, and I think you have to be, that seems like a no-brainer. I think you have to spell it out, because then when the time comes and you have an employee with a problem, you can pull out the employee manual that they signed and say, we talked about this when you were hired, and this isn't going to work for me. If they say, yes, I need help, say, okay, great. Then you can refer them, depending on how severe their problem is. It is not unfair for you to say, why don't you go to AA or NA and go to 20 meetings and see if you can find some solutions there. And give them a court card. Have them sign the court card that they went. Show some effort that they're trying to get better. Maybe they need to go into a rehab. At that point, support them. If this is their first go, support them. Say, we support this. Why don't you call your insurance company, whether you provide the insurance or not, and find a program and go inpatient, and we will hold your job for you until you get out, until you're done with your program of recovery. It's important to say when they complete their program of recovery, because otherwise they're going to go into detox and they're going to clean up a couple days and want to leave because they got to go back to work. And that's it's not going to work. So tell them to go and complete whatever the program is. And you'll reintroduce them back into the company when they're out and showing that they're taking care of this problem. I think that's very supportive, and I think you'll find that consistent to what it says in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. If they don't, and this is relapse after relapse and problem after problem, I don't think you're doing it any favors keeping them. They're going to cry and beg and plead. This is the last time. Unfortunately, it's just like if you have an alcoholic or addict in your family. It's not that easy. They really have to seek help. And sometimes hitting bottom, losing a job, having a spouse leave you, court card, whatever it is, that tends to motivate an alcoholic and addict to get help. So the best thing to do, I think, is read that chapter in the big book to the employers. And you can Google that easily now. Just Google big book to the employers and the whole chapter will come up. It's not a long chapter. Read that and you'll get the gist of this, that you want to be helpful and supportive, because I will tell you that once you sober up an alcoholic addict, they are the best employees you could possibly have. They are very good at their job. They're dependable, reliable, on time. The minute that turns and you see something else, something's gone wrong. They have either let up on their spiritual program of action, they're not taking care of their illness, and they're headed for a fall. So there is a way to be supportive while protecting your company and saving a lot of expense, hurt feelings, and customer service, and the bottom line, by knowing how to handle these things. If I can be of any help, please feel free to reach out to me at Karen@KarenGardinier.com. I also have a blog. Please check out my blog, KarenGardinier.com. You can follow me on IGTV, Instagram at KGardinier. I'm all over the place. So let me know if I can be of help. Direct message me, whatever. I'd be happy to talk to you or your staff. Have a great day.